April was a whirlwind of activity. It started with 2 recitals for the month. I did a day of recording with a dear friend, David, who is a wonderful composer and actor, running around being a teaching artist with Playground Opera. There was also starting a new role as an administrative assistant with the financial firm Evercore, as well as cherishing time with my family, especially after my recitals. It was wonderful to have that downtime with them. It was a month of maximum creative output and connection with so many wonderful people. But now, as May begins, I find myself with an empty creative tank and wondering what's next on my artist's journey. So here we go. Hi, this is Cassandra with Opera for Black Folks, serving culture to all folks. And on today's video, we're going to talk about 6 ways to stay creative and intentional during downtime periods between gigs, especially when you're feeling creatively burned out. Let's jump in. Okay, so first, what do you do when you're creatively burned out and yet you still have a desire to creatively move forward because you see that there's nothing on your calendar and you're wondering, oh, well, there's that wonderful moment where you could immediately start working on the next thing because there's a date and it inspires you to work towards that date. But when there's nothing immediately on your calendar, what do you do when you have to keep yourself engaged and hold yourself accountable and not just spend the entire day on the couch watching episode after episode of X-Men and eating chocolate brownies? Embracing rest and resetting yourself. So rest is an important factor in getting that wonderful, everybody says to get that wonderful 7, 8, or 9 hours of sleep, even 10 hours of sleep. And I find that this past week I've been doing a great job of taking time to take a nap because I had a shifting of schedules of running around doing one thing as a teaching artist and then switching to a new routine and schedule, working as an administrative assistant, and then still performing in the middle of all that. That transition was really exhausting, and taking 30-minute, 15-minute naps, even 5-minute naps were really helpful. Like I have a sleep savings bank, and every time I log in 5 minutes or 15 minutes or 30 minutes, it's like I'm making a deposit on my sleep reserves. That way, every time I go to sleep that night, I am adding more to that bank and refilling my coffers and feeling satisfied. Because I learned that when a musician is performing for a recital or a performance, they get the same raise in cortisol, testosterone, and alpha amylase as a sports performing artist would have when they're going for their sport and they're performing. There's raises in these hormones, and it is similar to that of the fight or flight of your body thinks you're being chased by a tiger and you have to run for your life. That is the level of fear or flight energy from a hormonal perspective that your body is flooding in your system. And sometimes it's really difficult to come down from all of that, to be able to turn your mind off, to go to sleep, to be able to feel refilled, to refill yourself creatively so that you actually have something to turn around and share with other people. It means you got to take that sleep and bring those cortisol, testosterone, and alpha amylase hormones down. The next would be to self-regulate with a hatha yoga practice. I am a yoga instructor. I have taught yoga for a really long time, and now I don't teach actively, but I embody it and live yoga and practice yoga regularly. And I find it is a really great way to self-regulate, just to do a simple check-in. You can follow wonderful yoga practices online. I really love following Yoga with Adrienne, or I'll just put on some music in the background or some rain sounds and just pay attention to what my body wants and spend 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes in a yoga practice. And I find that it really helps to help my breath connect back in with my parasympathetic nervous system to bring me back into rest and digestion instead of fight or flight. And then the last thing I would suggest is a trip to a spa day. You can either do a spa day at home. Sometimes I love to do that at the end of a work week on a Friday night or on a Sunday night, where I just get that nice hot bath water going and put in essential oils or a purifying mud or fun bath bombs from Lush, and just spending time disconnecting from my phone, not being distracted, and just have some Zen time to relax my muscles and relax my body and to just kind of go into a lower frequency, right? Sometimes we need to come back to our own frequency of what feels best for ourselves, and sometimes a hot bath is the best way to do that. You can always go to a day spa. I love to go to day spas like King Spa, which is a Korean spa and has wonderful saunas to choose from, or my favorite is Russian and Turkish baths in Lower Manhattan, or there's anything that's local to you. Or you could go to your steam room and sauna if you have it at your local gym. But just taking 10 to 15 minutes to feel the abundance of releasing toxins from your body when you sit in a hot room. Of course, diet and nutrition are important, and of course, consult your doctor to make sure that you don't do something that you're not supposed to do, but ultimately that it really does help the heart, and it helps to clarify the blood, it helps to clean the skin, it helps to just remove impurities, it helps you to reset yourself. And I find that if I go to, let's say, King Spa and spend some time in their saunas and then come home and go to sleep, it is some of the best sleep that I have ever had. There's just a plethora of things out there, so don't be afraid to reach out for rest and resetting yourself in fun, creative ways that support your body. All right, let's jump into reason number 2. Reason 2, exploring new inspirations. And so this past month, or in April, I also did some feedback auditions with Opera America, as you have also seen on my channel with videos where I posted myself singing Mozart, as well as singing some Puccini. I didn't feel particularly proud of these 2 recordings that I did. There were a lot of things that I wanted to change. I had a lot of analysis happening, and sometimes analysis leads to paralysis, and I was not particularly proud of these 2 performances, but I posted them anyway just to show that this is a part of it. I don't always love everything that I do. I got a chance to perform these 2 arias again and get feedback on them from people who are in the industry, and that feedback was so wonderful and impactful. And exploring new inspirations by getting that feedback, even when it's not so great, because it helps to inspire you with what's the next action, and it helps to inspire some creativity in you to say, that's an area for improvement. Let me see what I can do about that. And so the time getting feedback helped me to redefine how I am approaching my practice time. Getting feedback, it's not good or bad, it's just information, and it's really about how we choose to respond to that information. So let's jump into reason number 3. Okay, reason number 3 is setting creative goals. I find that a lot of artists and creative types really can get into action when there's a date scheduled on the calendar. It's like, oh, I gotta work towards that, especially when someone is relying on you. But sometimes it's really hard to hold ourselves accountable when we just set that date and say, oh, I wanna finish my website by the end of this month, and then the whole month goes by and you never actually do it. So I found this really fun rule. It's called the 1-3-5 rule. It's sometimes called the GPS plan, which I actually like this term better, the GPS plan. It's goals, priorities, and strategy. And I love strategy. But it's basically choosing 1 goal, 3 priorities, and then 5 strategies to help you get to that goal. And it's sort of like a GPS. 5 strategies turn out to be like your to-do list, where you're doing 5 things that help you get to the goal. So I also found another creative way to help me in setting creative goals is to change the way I look at my calendar. I used to look at my calendar this way, and now I look at my calendar this way. And I find that looking at it the second way actually helps to give me a different view on how to structure my year and how to make sure that I'm moving towards my goals every month, or completing a goal by said month, or I don't actually complete the goal, then by the time I get to the next month, it's an opportunity to reassess if this is actually something that I really want. So I find that setting creative goals is really supportive, and I've found that this particular way of setting goals has been really helpful. So I hope you find it helpful too. Let's jump into reason number 4. Okay, reason number 4 is to practice, 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 and refine your skills. We've all heard the adage, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. And for me as a musician and as an opera singer, I find that the things I need to practice are technique, languages, breath control, strengthen my body, and even performing. And then there's also practicing the marketing and the promotion. And so there's a season for all of those things, and it's very difficult to do all of those things at the same time. But I found that with my last recital on April 27th, it was an opportunity for me to practice marketing and promotion and learn about how to build something on the back end. You know, I There's people out there that have the money to go and hire the editing person to go do that, and I'm not there. So until I get there, I've got to learn how to do this myself. And in learning to do it myself, there's practice that is required. And there's nothing that holds me more accountable than a date on my calendar that I have to work towards. If it's not scheduled, it's not actually important. That's my new rule. And so time blocking is really helpful. If I reserve practice rooms for myself at Opera America or at another location, it helps to hold me accountable that I'm reserving this time and putting money towards this commitment, and that will hold me accountable to get there and also to use that time effectively. And then also informed practice, or listening to my recordings of previous voice lessons, of coachings, of performances. It's really hard to sit back and listen to oneself perform. I personally am not a fan. I don't like doing it, but I make myself do it to see if I like my own product. So yeah, that's one way to redefine your practice and refining your skills, is to stop, look, and reflect, and look at feedback from people that are trusted mentors, and then go forth and apply yourself and take action. All right, let's jump into reason number 5. Okay, reason number 5, collaboration and networking. Always an uncomfortable thing, I think, particularly for artists. Well, I'll speak for myself. It's a difficult thing for me because I don't always like to talk about myself or promote myself. I have had so many years where I'd have performances and I didn't want to tell a soul, and I never follow through because I would always feel some level of insecurity around engaging with other people, and like it was a level of integrity I wasn't ready to completely commit myself to. And so collaborating and networking is a whole nother level of holding yourself accountable creatively. It helps to inspire you and fill yourself up creatively when you are around other people who are creative, because like attracts like. And when you're in the room with people who are maybe a couple steps ahead of you, it helps to give you inspiration and motivation about how you are going to also step yourself up and move yourself to the next level, because it's really not a race with anybody else. It's really just a race with yourself and your own personal desire to improve yourself from a creative standpoint. All right, let's jump into reason number 6. The last one is to invest in your personal development. Nothing helps you get over your creative slump than investing in yourself. I always believe that we are what we repeatedly do. Aristotle's quote does not apply to just artists. It does apply to everybody. Our life is a reflection of the choices that we have made to date, good and bad. But I find that when it comes to an artistic journey, it's really about where are you spending your time, and are you repeatedly doing that in a way that's serving you? So, for example, performing, reflecting on that performance by listening to videos or getting feedback from people who are in the audience that you trust, adjusting accordingly to the things that you liked, didn't like, looking at your areas for improvement, studying and then practicing that thing to a level of accuracy and mastery, and then performing again, rinsing and repeating, and doing that whole process over and over and over and over and over again until you attain mastery and confidence in yourself. You've got to take that small step towards your own accountability and building your own confidence. And so if you don't feel confident enough to step out on whatever your creative project is on your own, then it's time to get a mentor. In the operatic world, it would be to get a voice teacher that I trust, build my team, and find a really great voice teacher, coach, and maybe a couple of coaches, and then connecting with singers who are a couple steps ahead of me, and asking questions whenever you have a challenge that comes up, and ask them how they would approach it and get their feedback, because they've clearly already done it and they know the best way to approach it, or at least a successful way to approach it. And then you've got your team of people that you can go back and forth with when you're asking questions about how to make your own improvements. The point is, you're willing to get feedback and invest that time and money in paying them to better you. But you can also seek education through courses, through workshops, through webinars, through masterclasses, online or in person. Like, the world is so accessible. There's free resources, there's resources to pay for. There's always somebody willing to teach you how to make yourself better. So downtime is a natural part of any artistic journey. Like a seed in the soil, the downtimes is that fallow space and time where things get to reset themselves, and you get to turn over old ideas, redesign and reinvigorate old ideas and create new ideas, and nurture that new seed that you put into the soil. You can then nurture that into fruition to create something completely new. Now, by embracing rest exploring new inspirations and new things that we're curious about, setting goals, practicing, collaborating, and investing in our personal development, you can stay intentional and keep your creativity flowing even when there isn't something planned on your calendar. So, this is Opera for Black folks, serving culture to all folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Ciao!